This is my cancer story. "You have a tumour," says the surgeon. I'm supposedly there to get some internal hemorrhoids tied off. My first reaction is anger. I've been going to my doctor about a problem with hemorrhoids since February, and now it's the middle of December. It took me 4 months to get registered with a specialist, another 3 months to get a date to have the problem corrected, and then another 4 months before the actual visit. And all this was 8 years ago. The only person who examined me was a PA, a physician assistant. God, she might as well have been a typist PA for all the use she was. It isn't fair, and I've ended up waiting for 10 months to have this surgeon, quote, tie them off. So, I have a biopsy, his diagnosis is confirmed, and it's arranged for me to see an oncologist on the 31st of December at Grand River Hospital. Great! What a way to celebrate New Year's Eve. Well, at least the system has managed to do it all in the same year. To my surprise, the cancer doc turns out to be charming, a lovely man with a Quebecois accent. "So, what kind of cancer is it?" I ask. "It's an anal squamous tumour," he replies. "It is quite common in people over 50, and the treatment we are going to recommend is usually successful. But I must tell you right now that it is not going to be a walk in the park." I ignore what he might mean by that. Heck, I'm a strong lady. Usually I reply, "So, what are my chances?" "We have caught this early, so there's about a 70% chance we can eradicate it and you will be cancer-free in 5 years. I realize I want to keep him talking because I love his accent. I can't do it nearly as well. He outlines the treatment, telling me that there will be a total of 8 days of chemotherapy and 6 weeks of radiation. I will lose my hair, probably on several parts of my body. The chemo may make me feel sick, and the radiation will cause burns on my posterior." I love the choice of that word and the way he pronounced it. "The protocol is apparently already about 30 years old, so there won't be any extra cost to pay for it." Then I ask him why it has to be radiation and chemo. "Well," he replies, "we are still considering our options because it depends in which category you fall." I have to laugh, and he does too. The next year dawns with a big clutch in my stomach. I have to get organized. Grand River Hospital is an hour's drive away. It's the middle of winter. I'm going to need my friends because I won't be able to drive myself every day, and my husband is still working, so he can't drive me every day either. How am I going to get to 30 treatments, not counting the ones for chemo? I ask my husband. "Oh, no problem. Give me the names of some friends you'd like to spend some time with and their email addresses, and I'll contact them and organize a calendar." Phew. "Can we get a cat?" "A cat? Why?" "I'm going to need some loving company. I think I'm going to need someone who's independent, but who also knows how to cuddle. I will need someone to stroke, and I've read that it can help you heal. The doc says I'm probably going to need a rest every afternoon when I get back from treatments, and it would be nice to snuggle up to a cat." "Okay," he says slowly, "but it's just one more thing to look after." He sees my pleading eyes and agrees. Linda, my friend and neighbour up the road, takes in stray cats and helps them find homes, so I go to see her. "Well," she reports, "I do have one I'm having trouble finding a home for." Why's that?" "He's just come back from 3 months at the vet clinic waiting for his forever home. They've had to keep him isolated because he has FIV. "What's that?" "It's feline immunodeficiency virus, or HIV in cats. I don't know if you'll want him. He's large, black, and long-haired, and any one of those reasons is making him hard to place." Then I meet him. He's smart, vocal, and he has a small white patch on his chest, just above where his heart is. He needs me too, so I decide right then and there to give him a home. Anne, a friend of mine who knows how to do therapeutic touch and is a truly wise woman, calls me up when she hears about my diagnosis. Have you considered using Chinese medicine as well as the Western cancer treatments? Why would I do that? Well, Chinese traditional medicine takes a holistic approach to the treatment of cancer. It's not just about killing off the cancer. You need to protect the healthy cells too. But shouldn't I concentrate on one thing at a time? Get rid of the cancer and then get my strength back or whatever? Well, you still have to look after your stressed nervous system, your circulatory system, metastasis, and the body's need to detoxify. Then she tells me about a local practice of integrated Chinese medicine. I've known him for years, she says. I've met people who've been told that their cancer is terminal, and yet they're still around after 5 years. Chinese medicine's been around for 3,000 years or so, and it's still going strong. Western medicine is a lot younger than that, particularly for the treatment of cancer. Well, Professor Google reveals that the development of chemotherapy as a treatment for cancer goes back a lot less than a century, when it was noticed that soldiers who were gassed in the trenches with mustard gas tended to have a much lower incidence of cancer in later life. That was when the first chemotherapy drug was developed. So I call up the Chinese medicine clinic and get an appointment for 2 days hence. I meet the man in charge, who has built up an extensive practice over a couple of decades. He explains that it's all about working with the body's own energy, or qi, protecting the vulnerable aspects and supporting its own defense systems with the right foods and some extra help from Chinese herbs that have been used for centuries. This is our multivitamin pill called Ultra Preventive X. Replace your multivitamin with this. He hands me a bottle and I look down the ingredients. Good grief, they are all unpronounceable. There's a special pill for fundamental cancer care and another to tonify both qi and blood, nourish the heart and calm the shen. Then he recommends a fourth product and holds up a little blue bottle. These are iodine drops, naturally sourced from kelp, and you should take 3 drops a day. What does that do? The only way we get iodine in Western society is through iodized salt, which is no longer fashionable, he explains. Frankly, people have been indoctrinated to avoid salt or to prefer what they call natural salt, that is, sea salt without iodine. So, a large proportion of the population is actually iodine deficient. Doesn't salt make you retain water or something? Let me put it this way. Take the Japanese, for example. They have the lowest incidence in the developed world of various cancers, particularly lung, breast, and stomach cancer, in spite of the fact that the Japanese smoke like chimneys. Why? It's because the Japanese consume a large amount of kelp, which is rich in iodine. How does it work? It's a primitive antioxidant, with algae having a particularly important evolutionary role in favorably affecting serum antioxidant status. I can't help tuning out here. Really, now I get it. This is a lot to take in. But I decide that my friend Anne is a smart lady, incredibly healthy for her age, and I trust her. Also, I'm not old enough to die, so I'm going to hit this disease with everything I can. Now, I'm not one to do a lot of meditating, but I have read that focusing on your body where there is a disease of some kind can help the immune system fight it. I decide I need an army of warriors to go to battle for me, so I imagine a troop of Jedi Knights slashing through lumpus horribilis with their lightsabers, leaving a pile of detritus. They are going to need someone to clean up after them, so I visualize this gang of packmen who follow behind, gobbling up the garbage and converting it into clean air in giant burps. I go to my preview scan for radiation and get told I need 3 tattoos. It turns out they're just navy blue dots on either side of my hips and one just above my pubis, thankfully below the bikini line. These are to line up the X-rays or gamma rays or whatever they are, and I'm told I don't have to undress when I come for my treatment. I just lie down on the sarcophagus type table and roll down my panties a little. Okay, I could do that. Then it's off to get a port put in my arm to receive the chemo. I don't like this part. It's going to stick in my arm for 6 weeks, waiting for the chemo to be plugged in at the beginning of the treatment and then at the end. The medication is contained in this elastomeric device, the nurse explains. She holds up a baby bottle with what looks like a condom suspended inside it. This balloon consistently deflates so that the medication is gently pushed into your catheter. It continues to do that for 96 hours, she adds. My God, that's 4 days. And what is this medication called? It is called 5-fluorouracil, or 5-FU for short. I decide to withhold judgment until I see what it does to my body, but I know I'm probably going to call it FU2. How do I carry this around? The lure lock connector is taped to your arm below the port, and you carry the device using this handy pouch, which you hitch onto your belt. Belt, I think? What? Like my tools and my ring of keys? How many 65-year-olds wear belts? I can just imagine it pulling my elasticated waistband down as I walk along. And what about at night? You're supposed to slide the bottle under your pillow, I'm told, and be careful when you roll over. Yeah, just be careful not to strangle yourself. I already know that this pouch is probably going to need some modification. The chemo doesn't start until the 2nd week. It isn't long before I found that having my right arm permanently attached to my waist by a metre-long tube is just not working. They had to put the port in my right arm just above my elbow for reasons unrelated to the tumour, and the tube gets in the way whenever I do anything. So I cut a slit up the pouch, attach 2 Velcro straps, and wear the thing on my forearm. I have to shower or bathe with my arm sticking out or tape it up in a plastic bag, but it's still an improvement in my general mobility. They give me several pamphlets about side effects and which are serious enough to call the doctor. Most of the advice is pretty self-evident, like, nausea is the feeling that you have when you think you are going to vomit. Okay. Wear loose, comfortable clothing. Keep a basin handy in case you vomit. Fatigue is a decrease in your energy level, and you may find you have a lack of interest in your daily activities. No kidding. I decide to visit my hairdresser to get my head shaved. I know that I'm going to lose my hair, and to be honest, I don't want it to fall out at inconvenient times, like in my friends' cars or at the dinner table. A friend gives me a wig, but it's just too itchy, and frankly, it looks fake. I find online a great design where you cut an old t-shirt in 2, a few inches below the sleeves, so that you have this wide, stretchy loop. You place it around the back of your head, twist it in the middle at the front, and then put the rest back again. Wind another scarf round it, or stick a brooch in the front, and bingo, you look great. I actually like the look. My first radiation treatment, one of 30 over 6 weeks, goes well. I like the technicians who are cheerful, and I try to have a joke ready every day to make them laugh. After the first week, I don't really have too much discomfort in the diaper area, as I decide to call it. But unfortunately, it isn't long before it becomes really sore. The doc was right when he told me this would be no picnic. It has become hard to sit down. Get yourself a donut ring cushion, I'm advised. And it turns out they're readily available. So I buy one. It makes me sit up a lot higher in the car, and I have to be careful not to hit my head on the roof, although the turban does give extra protection. But it looks gross, an awful grubby pink colour, and it's awkward to carry. On top of that, I don't really want to be seen with it. What if people make fun of it? Why are you carrying a whoopee cushion? Had a spanking? So of course I have to make a cover for it. You have to be able to blow it up if it goes flat, and it really needs a handle for easy carrying. So I do all that with a double zipper so that it still has an indent in the center while allowing me to take it off for cleaning. It's now a third week of daily radiation, and the skin around the, quote, diaper area is beet red and beginning to ooze. I still have another 3 weeks to go, and I can't stand to have anything fabric against it. It hurts to walk, let alone sit down. Just wear a skirt all the time and don't bother with underpants, I'm advised. But that doesn't work either. Apart from wondering what my mother would say about going round without underpants, the ooze sometimes leaks through the skin. After an hour in the car, it's either sticking to my butt or there's evidence of a damp patch. I can't walk into the hospital looking like that. Besides, it's still winter. Now, speaking of walking into the hospital, you have to open the door first. It's getting difficult to do. Carrying your handbag, a whoopee cushion, your ring binder with all the notes, appointments, etc., all with a baby bottle strapped to your arm. So I glue and stitch straps to the binder with handles and a pocket for my calendar or my book. But when the going gets really tough, the tough get going, right? By now, I have 3 t-shirt turbans, and I'm seriously glad I didn't throw away the top part of the t-shirt, because another invention idea pops into my mind. Your legs won't go all the way in because that part of the t-shirt is designed for arms. So what you have is a pair of bloomers. And the best thing is that the crotch is nowhere near your sore area. I even show it off to some of the ladies in the waiting room. The chemo has done its thing, and now I have mouth sores as well. God, will this never end? It's still February outside. Part of me is burning up, and curling up in front of a fire is just not comforting enough. They took the baby bottle with the condom away after my first 4-day session of chemo was up, but I still have this damn needle and port in my arm. I can't shower properly or get into our hot tub. And then my body decides that it's time to get rid of the port in my arm, and I develop this infection. Hooray! The Jedi Knights have read the riot act to the interloper, and it has to be removed. And the hot tub comes into its own. My husband invents this dream medication. Melted French vanilla ice cream with a healthy shot of Grand Marnier. It's still hard to swallow, but I stick a straw onto one of my dog teeth and swallow occasionally. It's like having an IV. I rest the back of my head on the edge of the hot tub, rest the glass on my chest, and float. My whole body is in water that is at 106 degrees Fahrenheit, and suddenly my diaper area doesn't seem to be hotter than anywhere else. The delicious medication takes half an hour to dribble into my tummy, and then it's time to get out and have a nap with my cat. More bliss. Finally, it's my last day. It happens to be St. Patrick's Day, and I have the opportunity for a final joke with my kind and gentle technicians. I take a green Sharpie and draw 5 shamrocks along the bikini line. Then, in black, I add, "Thank you, bye," with a small red heart. They love it and call round to several other units. "You have to come and see this." We all have a giggle, and it's finally over.